This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children. Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast. I haven't welcomed the audience to this show in a while, I've noticed.
Nope.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about movies. We're doing the best movies of all time. We are at number 40. 40th best movie of all time. That's where we're at,
According
guys.
to the IMDb database.
That's true.
As it was frozen in time so many years ago.
And this one it's actually dropped. It's number 50 right now. I'm looking at the
Okay.
website. So since 2016, it's dropped 10 spots. But this is
Wow.
Alfred Hitchcock's second highest movie on the list. It is his, it's one of his 7 movies. He's one of the 3 guys that has 7 movies on here. This movie came out in 1954. And I don't think John's seen this one before.
No, I have not seen it.
What did you think, John?
I was okay with it.
All right, TZ, what did you think? We're going to skip over John.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was pretty
seriously,
funny.
It's fine. Go ahead.
No.
If you want to do
I thought
something,
it was funny.
Okay,
I laughed quite a bit in this movie.
like, in a good way.
Well, I don't
or-
know if I was supposed to or not, but
Oh, what?
there was some great dialogue between like when the guy was like, "Huh?" and looking at him like he was crazy. I was like, that it was great. It's perfect. There was also just like dumb jokes all the way through. I thought it was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was dumb. I mean, it was a dumb story, but
What?
I mean, it was like it's just a guy.
We're going to have some
watching his-
disagreements on this one, I think.
No. It was about a guy watching his neighbors, right? I mean, that's very simple. All right, let's not say dumb. I'll just say it's a simple story, right? It's just a guy watching his neighbors.
I would disagree with that too.
Well,
Oh,
okay.
my.
I've seen this before. I forgot what it was, just to counter that. And sorry for jumping into both of your reviews today.
That's all right. Go
fine.
ahead. We get a little
It's
angry
fine.
Danny.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. Should I shut up? No, I was just going to say this movie. I've seen it before. I forgot what happened exactly. I remember there
Should
was
I
going to
shut
be
up?
like...
No, I'm going to keep talking.
I can't go back into what I was going to do anyway.
Go, Danny,
Uh,
go.
But I don't know. I think this movie drags you along not knowing what... you can say it's simple because all he's doing is look out his window, but you don't know what's going on the entire movie, right? It keeps twisting what you think is happening. Like, did he actually witness a murder, or is he just a paranoid guy in an apartment, right? And like the movie kind of leads you in one direction and makes you believe one thing, but then it twists it back, and you kind of follow Jimmy Stewart's character in, not knowing exactly what happens. But I think that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that simple, I guess is what I'm getting at there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And TC's frozen. He got pissed and he left.
Oh, what?
No, I think he just froze. All I
There
saw
you
was
go.
his grinning, smiling face the entire time I was talking. So I was
Oh,
like,
right.
that's
I
not,
didn't even notice.
That's not typical of what TC does.
But you like the setup. You've seen this before, so you knew you knew where it went. So
Oh, well, I didn't actually. It's been so long.
you'd forgotten.
The only thing I remembered is that it's about a guy with a broken leg staring at his window and witnessing a murder. But
Yeah.
the way this movie goes along, it's just like he witnesses a murder. He thinks he does anyway, but it makes you uncertain throughout the movie. And I didn't remember if somebody actually had gotten murdered. So I was kind of trying to guess, trying to remember what happened. And I thought it was pretty suspenseful a lot of the time. Like when his, should I wait for TC?
Probably. We'll wait. Well, let's pause for a bit and wait a bit.
Steamrolled you, John. Sorry. We were going to line
Go
up so
ahead.
you can go first.
It makes for a better podcast anyway when somebody's positive
Yeah.
or interested. I'm just flat and right now, and so please, we'd rather start that way because otherwise it's just meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just I'm just fucking exhausted and everybody's sick and I'm just barely crawling along here. So watching a movie and trying to enjoy it, it's it's hard.
I'm not enjoying it. You're not making it easy for me, movie.
Yeah, but it's not the movie's fault necessarily either. So,
Check. All right.
hey, you're
All right.
back.
All right.
You okay,
All
man?
right. So
Well, how much
I'm
did you
gonna
catch
walk
it by
it all
rambling?
back. I'm gonna walk it all back.
okay.
He's
you took a
back. He's
breather.
walking it back.
Somebody,
Yeah, I'm walking it back.
You got Hitchcock came and snapped your wires there.
We can't see TC now. We don't know if Hitchcock's
yeah.
standing right behind him,
He did.
whispering into his ear.
Ooh, you like that?
Oh, he's
Just came
back.
in.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I'm not sure why that came out of my mouth, right? Dumb. It's not the right word. I just meant it was a simple story of setting. There's not you're in an apartment looking over at other apartments. It's like not you don't have to go too far. There's no travel to a new place. It's very like, it's good stuff. I liked this movie, so that's another reason why I'm walking that back.
Okay.
Yeah. But now I'm going to let you go.
I probably sounded like I was attacking you because at the moment I was.
He
I
was.
probably would again.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because, I enjoyed this one very much. But you should go, Dad.
Yeah. So you're saying like it is simple and it all almost entirely takes place from within the apartment. There's like a couple exceptions, like very small exceptions. But I mean, just the fact that this movie I find this movie really entertaining, but it's all in the same room and it doesn't feel like, I don't know, Rope is another example where it's all in the same room. That movie kind of has lulls in it and things like that. But like, no matter what in this movie, there's other Hitchcock movies that have similar scenes like Jimmy and Grace Kelly fighting with each other in the beginning. For some reason in this one, I was interested in that scene, even though both of the characters at that point in time, I did not like that much, but there's something about like the set and the way they acted it and the realism of their bickering sort of that made me engaged, even though like, there wasn't really, it was kind of just that earlier scene was just kind of to lay out what his issues were going forward and like who he was as a person and who she was, sort of kind of character introductions. But even that was interesting. But I mean, a lot of this is just Jimmy Stewart's face reacting to the shit he sees. They show you what he sees. They cut to his face. He reacts. They cut back to what's happening. They cut back. They go back and forth. And that on paper sounds boring as hell. But like you get really engaged in what's going on because it's the whole point of the movie, but you start by the end, and John, you might not agree with this, but I felt like I was Jimmy Stewart in the seat. Like you feel like you're the one looking out the back window at all these people to the point where like, there are some scenes where like the people look directly at you and you kind of like jump a little bit. You're like, whoa.
I know.
Like that's weird. They're looking at me.
Like when he looked dead at me, I know. Yeah.
You're like, close the shades. I'm just watching a movie.
Oh my God, he see us. He saw us. Like, oh shit, he did.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a really cool trick. And I'm really surprised that like this is the only movie I can think of that did this sort of thing where it like
it's like they broke the fourth wall, but they didn't.
Yeah,
because,
it's almost like Peep Show. Remember? So it's like Peep Show maybe a little, that TV show where everything is
they
first
did
person.
That. Yes.
But not everything is first person in this, but like a lot of it is.
No, like the subject is the fact that it's first person. Like like they're shooting this, right? And so like it's great because you as the audience get to enjoy, you in the audience, as you said, Denny, get to be that person.
Yeah.
And we'll look and get, because now you're like, oh, I want to know what's going on with them. But what are they doing in that one? Like I found myself every time there was a wide shot looking in the other buildings.
No, you're supposed to like try to figure out what you're supposed to be looking at, right? Because there's all this shit going on.
Exactly.
It's fun.
It's funny. Yeah, it was.
It was
funny.
A lot of times it's funny because a lot of the people out there are silly characters, like Mrs. Torso or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Like her character was always funny.
When there was a party.
Yeah.
When there was the party with the lady was just sleeping, standing.
Yeah. Or the people sleeping in the mattress out on their fire escape for some reason.
Yeah, because it was so hot, right?
Is that what that was? Okay, that makes sense.
I think so.
That's what
I
assumed it was. It was hot. Yes.
Yeah, because they showed like all that stuff and then ended up on the thermometer.
I don't know why the dog had to be in a bucket though.
That was hilarious. I like that too.
I mean,
I died laughing when that first came on screen. I was like, that is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
What a great fucking idea. And then even better to put in a movie. Right? Like, we're gonna listen to me. We're gonna have a dog.
The dog's in a bucket. It's just 3 flights.
We're gonna have the dog. It's gonna go down.
In a bucket.
Yeah, it's a dumbwaiter, but not really.
It's not like it's a skyscraper. They could just take like 5 minutes and go. Nope. It's in a bucket.
You know that third story. Tenant does not clean up the poop, right? She lets him down and picks him back up. No one's going down there and cleaning up the poop.
No, that's a good point. That's an excellent
very
point.
rude. No wonder he killed that thing. It wasn't because he found the body.
She had a new dog. She had a new dog in no time.
Oh yeah.
The stuff that she was saying made no sense.
Oh yeah, she got really that scene was weird.
Did you kill him because he liked you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was hysterical.
That's what I excused it away.
Never mind.
The husband was just patting her on the back, and he's like, "All right, sorry everyone, she'll be back to normal by tomorrow."
Kill him because he liked you.
But I don't know, like the setting is really cool too. The set itself is awesome.
Yeah, it was
like
great.
You could, like TC said, you peek into the windows. I like that little corridor at the ground level on the left-hand side that showed like a street a little bit behind it with like a shop even behind that. Like that's a pretty good depth from for a set.
Yeah.
You know, it looked busy back there all
and
the
that's
time.
all you
too.
get like through the whole film, right? Is that one perspective, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
There
might turn
are a
around
few other
and get
scenes.
face shots or whatever, but really, yeah, for the most part, you're like,
So there's two instances, I can name them now. There's a scene when the dog dies. The shots of the neighbors during that scene where they're all coming out at night, the camera is not inside the apartment for that one scene for like less than a minute. And that plus the shot of Jimmy falling straight down out of the apartment.
well, that one, yeah, right when he pulls
How
out of
about that
When
one?
he pulls out.
How
So,
about
so those
that
two
one?
shots, everything else in the entire movie is inside the apartment, either inside looking out or inside looking in.
That's cool.
And they had intended to do one scene with the newspaper boss. You know, that he has a telephone call in the beginning where his boss like congratulates him for getting out of the cast, but he was wrong about that and how he couldn't get his job back.
Yeah.
They had a whole scene filmed in that guy's apartment, or sorry, that guy's office, and they built the office. They filmed the whole set there, the whole scene there, and just even before they started shooting, they, you know, a bunch of people were like, "What if we just do it all in the apartment?" So they filmed it anyway, but then they took the audio from that scene and they used it in the phone to keep it all within the apartment.
Cool.
Sorry, John.
it's okay. Don't be
I
sorry.
think I interrupted you. I think I'm interrupting a lot of people today.
You go ahead. I'm boring.
He's on
right
a
now.
rampage,
Yeah,
folks.
so
Yeah,
it's
this is a
okay.
Hitchcock movie that I liked. I just was really excited
Go-
about it.
yeah, no,
I was
no,
really
talk more.
worried that, you know, after watching every other Hitchcock movie, I think, I was just like, I don't like Hitchcock. I just don't like him. I don't understand it. I think the reason I like this one is because you can't feel him grabbing you by the shoulders and then like watching his movie.
Look at my movie.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it? Look
Yeah.
over there. Look.
It doesn't feel like that, right? It feels like a guy who's good at making movies, making a movie that's entertaining and suspenseful. It doesn't seem like a guy who's like really full of himself doing the stuff he wants to do because he's full of himself. You know, even the shots of like Grace Kelly in this one, where she's really beautiful, they're not just like voyeuristic shots of her doing that, like in Vertigo, and I forget the actor of that name or of that movie, but like it felt like he was doing it because he is a creep and he was, you know,
Yeah,
but this one
No.
it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're just observing things, right?
It's creep by proxy.
Right.
Well,
But it's a different feeling. It's a feeling I can sit with better. You know,
It
like
doesn't
I can
feel like-
enjoy
it
this.
doesn't-
It's one step, you know, in between.
Right.
You can, you know, keep it all in
like he
your
just,
mind.
you know,
Yeah.
Hitchcock stepped away from you. He's not hovering over your shoulder going, look at my
No,
He's halfway
movie."
across
He's
the room.
just out of the building.
Yeah, right.
Oh, he's out of the
And then
building.
you just watch the thing. Yeah.
Oh, he's out of the building,
Yeah,
John. You
I'm
gave
gonna
him a
go
lot
get
of
a
grace.
bagel.
No, it's
there.
like
I'll
he
be
built
back.
the room and he let me walk around in it, is what it
Yeah.
was, as opposed to like building the room and being behind me and pushing me around and showing me all the
And
things he
breathing
put in
in
it
your ear.
and why he
Yes,
put them
yeah.
in there for me.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Isn't she beautiful? Look at how beautiful she is.
Isn't that true though? Didn't you
I
kind of
think
feel
so.
that
That's
hands
the way
off
I kinda,
type of?
That's the way I feel about a lot of his other films.
And he
know,
forces you
that's-
to look at stuff.
They kind of, yeah. Once you, at least, I don't know where this came about as we watched these films, but it's really stuck with me. This idea that he's standing behind you, going, "Look at that."
Because you guys have made a funny voice one episode.
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Denny.
But this one doesn't have that, and I really
It doesn't
appreciate
feel
it.
that way. You're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's. I think you're definitely right. It doesn't have that feeling to it.
And it's funny and it's dramatic towards the end, like, or even towards the middle where they start liking each other. Like that first scene of bickering, I'm medium on it. It's pretty good. It was entertaining for what it was, but like there were the scenes later on where they start like snipping at each other, and when she starts getting like into the mystery and they start bouncing off the ideas of how they got murdered, and then like the
And that's
the
kinda
insurance
fun, right?
nurse came
Yeah.
and she would like participate and talk about
Yeah.
how he got killed in the tub and all that stuff was like the nurse was hilarious. Pretty
Yeah,
much
she
everything
was
she
great.
said was hilarious.
Oh yeah, she was funny.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, she's not a hot girl. So again, also I think not typical, right? I mean,
Well, no, they could only have one.
well, no, but
Oh yeah,
even,
too.
like-
What about Miss Torso?
right? Well, yeah, oh yeah, you at least had two,
Ah.
but usually I'm just surprised even when you have another cast like it's the one that you I'm just surprised at that cast. I think it's great, but I could have seen him having yet another attractive woman. Even
Like
sort of
but
playing
like
the foil
an
or two.
equally attractive blonde, but her hair put up, her clothes
right.
not as sexy, and glasses.
Right, but still,
like in Vertigo.
Sure.
you know?
Oh, right. Like
exactly,
Vertigo.
exactly.
Right,
That's what
right,
I was thinking
right.
with Vertigo, right?
Yeah.
You had the two.
Yeah.
So you know, kudos there again because yeah, she's really great. What is this about an insurance nurse? Was that a thing?
Dude, you get
have
free
an insurance
massages when you
nurse?
break your leg? Yes,
Right,
please.
is that,
Come
and that's
on.
from the insurance company.
I guess he had
That's
good
cool.
insurance.
I
'cause,
mean, that was a different age of insurance that I know.
guess so, right? Hi, I'm your insurance.
now if you
nurse
get
who
hurt,
broke your
even
leg.
if you're in the hospital, they won't take care of you unless you fucking bug them. They just leave you in the room until you fucking die.
Yeah.
Right.
They're too busy to take care of anyone.
That's true.
I'm happy. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, you're good.
We're all good.
You're good. Yep.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Everything's awesome.
I
can't wait for tomorrow.
So the lighting on the set, the Twilight shots and stuff looked really cool. You could tell there it was like
It
a little
did.
unnatural, but it looked really good for such an old movie. This movie was 1954. I was looking at like other movies, 60s or before, that I still like, that I would like say I would still recommend to people. And there's not that many. And this one it seems way more modern than the other ones. Like the ones I could think of were like It's a Wonderful Life. It Happened One Night. That's like 40s and 30s. The 400 Blows was the 50s.
Oh, that was a totally different film, though.
Totally different, but I'm just talking about like older films seem old, and that's kind of a barrier, right? Like any silent movie, anyone we've watched has seemed old, and that's a barrier. And even just like the way they told stories or like how they acted, the method of acting seemed old. But like the method of acting here doesn't seem that old to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I'm just like, I'm out of sorts. It still felt like, to me, it felt a little bit like a play. Maybe just because of that you're in a single set, but even the way the acting and the sequence of events, it felt like, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it felt more like a play because of how the way the dialogue worked and the way the action worked and the way that the scenes sort of like came one after another, things happened one after another, as if it was all meant for you sitting there, which again is maybe it's part of the point, right? That's kind of, but it really felt like, I don't know what the word is, staged. It felt like it was, you were sitting there, but again,
I can see that. It was really blocked.
It
I noticed the
works.
blocking,
Right, yeah.
like very intentionally, like where people went, and it worked for like this, for the continuous scenes where there was cuts. Cause like when they were moving around the room, it was really smooth where like people were and how they moved while they were talking and all that stuff. But it did feel like, one person would move exactly to the left of the frame. The next person would walk into exactly the right. And then the third person would come like right in the dead center.
So it gives like an unnaturalness to where it's like everything is happening to a purpose. Even when you go and you look at the events outside, it's like clockwork. It's like these are all these things that are happening to a purpose of the film, as opposed to like you're naturally observing all of this. But again, I think that is still kind of cool how it works.
Yeah, if it was more normal, it wouldn't have been as entertaining, I guess.
No, it would have been a lot slower.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot longer movie too, probably, if they tried to allow that sort of stuff to breathe or whatever.
And there's a lot of windows in those apartments, and everyone always hangs out right in front of their
That's true.
windows.
Yeah, everybody does that. Yeah.
And all of them are wide open.
Yeah.
That's what you do after a murder
All the
too.
time.
You just go and
Except
hang
for
out.
the downstairs depressed lady, she'd close her half-open shade, so like you could still see her, but she would feel like she was more private when she's trying to kill herself.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it gave it
that's
some
slightly
texture. Made sure that we were focused on that one floor.
Mhm. I liked it how they used the sets across the way for suspense, like the shot where Grace Kelly was like hiding in the apartment. You didn't know
And then
exactly
the
where
guy
she
walks
was,
up.
and she backs up.
Yeah.
Like that is amazing.
That was
just
well done.
like
Yeah.
And
couldn't have done it better than that.
Great.
Right. And you're
Yeah.
feeling, I think, again, it's really well done. You're feeling that you're in that character of Stewart where you're helpless.
Yep.
You can't move. You can't get up and go
That's
help.
true. There's nothing you can do.
And they do a good job of
does-
showing, like, you think I have a broken leg, I'd be able to hobble, like, if my girlfriend was in danger. But they show him earlier, like, trying to get up by himself, and he has a really hard time doing it. So, like, they show you that he's, like, weak and stuff.
And
Because he's not a small guy. Because, like, when the guy attacks
And he hasn't
him,
moved.
right?
Yeah.
He hasn't moved for a while. The cast is probably really
Yeah.
heavy. If they
Well,
didn't
and
have
it's
that
also,
one
it's
thing,
like a full leg cast all the way up to
Yeah,
your
like how do
hip,
you
too. It's
move
not
in
like
general?
you can just, I mean, I would, in my head, if they didn't have that, I would have dragged it. If my girlfriend was getting murdered over there, I would have, like, dragged myself.
Well, don't you think if he's almost healed, he'd be all right?
That's true, maybe.
Yeah.
Instead of
You know?
But they showed him
He's
weak.
got a week left.
I think it was like
Yeah.
a really, really good thing to show out because
And
it also
it hurts to all hell when you're getting
Right.
healed.
Plus, when he gets attacked at the end, it helps like him feel helpless because it's like, well, it's hand-to-hand combat. Jimmy Stewart is not a small guy, but his character in this movie has been shown to be weak. So like, and the other guy's pretty big.
Yeah.
So
I loved the silhouettes. I mean, that was a great scene. I was laughing though.
which one?
I was just
Which
like, oh,
silhouette?
this is when they're both in silhouette and they're talking to
dude,
each
I thought
other.
that was creepy as fuck.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
Really?
I was I was laughing.
I
I
for
was
some
like, look
reason
at this.
that made me scared for some reason Because
Oh,
even
it's
like
great. They
Jimmy
were talking
Stewart
to each
freaked
other.
me out. Because
I know.
yeah,
It's great. Yeah, I had a totally different reaction than that.
Yeah.
I laughed.
we had a reaction, so that's good.
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
Usually, when there's
Yeah.
scary stuff, you're scared. I'm laughing. That's the opposite, right?
Yeah,
there.
right. It's the opposite.
Yeah, weird. And the last thing I'll say of this movie is it has to be one of the best sound designs in a movie ever. There is no soundtrack to this movie. All it is the sounds. Like they put
It's
a
like
piano
ambient.
player next
Right.
to him, so like there's piano music sometimes.
Yeah, true.
It's
Right.
always just coming from outside the house. And because of it, there are some scenes that are like when he's fighting or when they're fighting or when bad things are happening, positive music is playing, or when good things are happening, sad music is playing. And it really works.
Mhm.
If it was a soundtrack, it would work. But it like works even better because it's just like this is the noise
It's in there.
of his
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can hear,
Right.
the cars going by all the time. You can hear people yelling outside. You can hear all this stuff normally. But then when you get to scenes like where he's sitting and it's raining outside and he's just like dozing off over and over again, just the sound of the rain and everything else just seems way more elevated when it comes up, like the scream and the crash and all that stuff. It really works really well. And I'm surprised
does.
more movies don't do it. Because the only one I can think of that was this old was Touch of Evil, which was years later, like 4 years later, where they had the opening shot, the original cut. That's the one where the car like drives down the street with a bomb attached to the back of it. And in the theatrical cut, the producers put a soundtrack over it and ruined Orson Welles' like what he wanted to do. But if you look at like the director's cut of it, it's just the car driving down and the sound changes on the left to right channels based on like what he's passing, sort of. And that's it.
Oh,
No
yeah.
music or anything.
Yeah.
And that was
That's cool.
groundbreaking for the time because it was moving, but like this is even earlier than that. So
Yeah.
that's got to be pretty
Wow.
unique.
I mean, we know that I have that 1960 cutoff. I mean, this is definitely no
That's right.
throws that on its ass.
Yeah.
It's so you say you thumbs up to this one, right? Like this
yeah.
breaks the rule.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great idea, well executed, cool sets. Acting was good. Acting was sometimes over the top, but it was on purpose. So it was good.
And what did you think about the fall at the end? You kind of laughed when I mentioned that earlier. Special effects hold up or not so much? Still gets the
Not
point
so
across.
much, but it was very, I was like, I just think I said something like, oh, look at that. But, like not,
You guys
can't
tried.
Really hate it.
You tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good try. It's okay.
And that's all they had back
Yeah.
then. And to think about
Yeah.
that is something else, right? Anyway.
Better than throwing a dummy off of a building. Again.
Better,
Vertigo did.
yeah. I don't know.
True.
You could think maybe there was some way to sleight of hand where you just didn't even have to show him fall or whatever, but because you're going to see him with the two broken legs at the end, so you know.
That's
But,
true.
yeah.
I kind of like the
That's true.
shot. It
Could've
was
just cut.
weird. It
It
kind of
was
like
dreamlike.
it was
sequence,
dreamlike.
like,
Yeah. Might be like what
Yeah.
it feels like if you're the one following a couple of
maybe,
stories.
yeah. That's
But
true.
they
But
just
it almost
shoot
seemed
a,
like it was like
screen or
blurred
something?
or
They shot
something,
him
yeah.
on a screen, and then
screen
they
and then
zoomed it.
Alpha
They
channeled
put
that
a
or something?
camera that moved towards the ground.
Oh,
I
okay.
see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
And he had to go
Special effects.
"Ah."
Yeah, woo!
Woo.
He had to do the swimming in the air motion.
Yeah.
You got good.
I'm really falling.
That's about it. I mean, is that it? I think that's all I can gush on. Movie's
That's
freaking
well
great.
done.
I would recommend this to anybody. I
Yeah.
think everyone would enjoy
Yeah.
this.
I think it appeals to everybody's curiosity
Mhm.
Yeah.
side,
If
and-
you like, and it's also like the biggest metaphor for movies because you're looking out a window is like looking
Right.
onto
Yeah,
a
yeah.
movie
into
screen.
life or
Yeah.
into life.
Or watching
Or into
other
life.
people. And what does that mean?
We're all
I mean, like
voyeurs.
when you go to the hotels, and they put you around everybody for a reason, right? You can see. It's always kind of curious, like, ooh, who's on their balcony? What are they doing down there, right? It's
Gotta get a good pair of binoculars.
Yeah, see, that's a little too far.
How about
But-
a camera with a good zoom
but-
A
lens?
big old camera with a
Yeah.
telephoto lens.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because he's like a telescope. He gets that shit. He can look at the fucking stars. I'm looking up. I swear. I know we saw you looking down, guy.
And there's stuff I'll get into in trivia too, where I didn't even pick up on this view, but there's some more subtle stuff going on in this movie that doesn't overtake what it's doing, but it's there and it works too. So I can talk about that later. But John,
to explain.
say again. You want me to do that now?
I mean, why not? You can't
I wanna
bring
hear
it
what
up
John-
and then not fucking.
Because I
What?
like to tease the trivia sometimes. Come along for the
Yeah,
ride,
yeah,
everybody.
that's right. You can tease that.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I just
Good,
want to
good,
see.
good,
I
good.
put a little cherry at the end of John's self-proclaimed Met train that's about to come in right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a very short train. Then.
Okay.
But I also have a bit
Oh.
of a book corner, just a little.
Oh, nice.
Too. But,
Did you read
not,
any of the book that
I
this
read the
is
short
based on?
story,
Ah.
which is probably again not a good idea to do that before you watch the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny
Never
boy.
before, John.
I know.
Have we talked about this?
I know.
It's never worked out.
It's never good. But yeah.
Will you learn this time? I vote no. I bet you won't.
No,
No learning.
it's still, because I also, I mean, as much as it's kind of bad, I love being able to make the comparison on the fly as I'm watching the movie, like what the book did or didn't do.
That character wasn't in the book.
No, well, none
Where'd
of them
Grace
were.
Kelly
there were
come
only
from?
2 characters in the book,
Yeah.
really, or 3: bad guy, cop, good guy. That was all you had in the book. And it was a very short story. So
So what do you think about the movie with that in mind?
I mean, again, I am so sleep deprived and tired that I'm just like, I'm trying to watch a movie, but I don't know. I'm not sure what it would have to be for me to, like, maybe if I were able to watch it right after my coffee, but I don't know. So it's not fair to the movie at all. But I wasn't like, I could see what it was trying to do. And I do agree. It was like it didn't feel like Hitchcock's showing off. Stewart he seems so wholesome. It's hard to sort of see him as this thrill-seeking photographer. That struck me as odd and was hard to. For some reason didn't really want to let that go. Where it's like, I don't see him. You get the bombs and the fish heads you got to eat. You know, it's just like, I don't know, Jimmy.
You seem pretty pampered there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't see some kind of steely-eyed either. Like,
He was a war vet, though.
Yeah. Well,
It
I
certainly
know. I'm
wasn't
just saying
set up,
that
at least,
these
right?
are characters we're used to see him playing. I don't know. I'm not trying to speak to him as a person. It's really more. It might really be more just like he was so good in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, for example, where it's like that's where he's iconic to me anyway. And so I think it's hard to see him with the way he modulates his voice and stuff. It's just kind of hard to see him how he's like, I need the life of adventure and, to war-torn countries. And I'm not going to be with you, you beautiful woman, because that's the life I need. It's like, okay, I don't know, Jimmy. It just doesn't seem to work. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I mean, kinda. Yeah.
I didn't have that problem, but I can see where you're coming
No,
from. You just have
it's
him
just-
like typecast in your head, kind of.
I do in my head, and that's nitpicky. And yeah, Grace Kelly was stunning. I mean, she's just so beautiful. It was kind of it still is quite an impression, sort of. Like,
Yep.
And she plays and maybe this
That's a way
is who
to
she
put
is
it.
anyway.
She's still
But-
beautiful.
Well, yes,
Still-
but she
Wow.
has the impression of the socialite, that she moves in these high circles in fashion, and that might be who she is even outside the screen. I don't know, or was, but
Yeah, she got married to a prince.
right.
Remember her story? Yeah.
So
Wow.
she really
Holy shit.
She quit
embodies
Hollywood
that.
and got married to
Yeah.
a prince.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so I'm good with this. I don't need to work
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Princess of Monaco, right?
Yeah.
So she really plays that, whether or not it's real at the time or not, but she really embodies that. And to me, that's like different than she really embodies that and the socialite. And Stewart does not seem to embody the person that would reject her because he wants to go shoot war photography. And so it's just kind of
I would agree that it was hard to believe that anybody would reject
Yeah.
her.
or
For-
that, right?
Pretty hard
I mean,
to
she's sitting there
believe.
like in his face, kissing him, and he's like, "No."
He's like, get out of here.
No,
He's like, I'm going to stay the
I'm
night. And he's like, you're
preoccupied.
staying the night?
Yeah.
Excuse me? And she's like,
Right,
what is
right.
wrong with you, Jimmy?
So I think that but again, I'm sitting
I think
here
at the
trying
time they just wanted to show, like, Jimmy doesn't always get what he wants on screen. Okay,
I
guys.
guess so. Yeah.
You
Next
know?
movie, we'll let him have it. But this one,
we're
we're
letting
going
him have
this
it.
one,
This
nope.
one, we gotta tear him down.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
He's
don't
due
worry,
for a
we're still going to
teardown.
smush the female protagonist's face into his face
Yeah, right,
to see if it
you know.
sticks.
The
Look at that,
smush,
it's stuck
yes.
again.
Yeah, we've got a very symmetrical person.
I forgot about that.
Somebody get the crowbar. She's stuck again. We have
It's
to get
in
the
my
strongest
contract. You
plunger we
gotta
can
do
find.
that.
All right,
It's
we need to
just-
get a heavy-duty plunger and a shaver. Shave the side of her head and just pull her off.
And now you get the Vaseline. I've done this before.
Did you not notice it in this one?
I didn't even notice it when it happened because I forgot. I should have.
It's
When was
always
it?
a
When it-
Jimmy. It's when they're making out
Right
like in
now?
the middle of the movie. He just has so much extra face skin that
Yeah. It's
women
like,
actors just love
I
to
know.
shove their
No, I
faces in
remember
it.
us laugh. Was it Vertigo or it was
It's all of
hilarious?
his movies. It's
Yeah,
literally
but
all of
yeah,
his movies.
Yeah. It's
Except for
like-
maybe Mr. Smith, because I don't think he kisses anybody in that movie.
Yeah.
But
That's
anytime he
true, or at
kisses
least not
somebody,
like that. Yeah.
He
It's,
smushes.
I'll make
you gotta
I'll
watch
make a
out
little compilation for you guys. I'll throw it
for
on
the
YouTube.
Stewart. You should for the Stewart smush vortex.
The smush vortex, huh?
I don't know. It's like
TC's not having it. All right, I'm sending it to you first, TC. You'll get the video. You'll give me the thumbs up on the edit.
I'm just along for the ride, folks.
It's fine. What else? So again, I like the banter. The banter did seem, again, it seemed very play-like, but I did like how they were arguing. Again, it seemed to play very quippy, very quick-witted. When they're like exchanging barbs, I thought that was good. And again, the characters and seeing like all the different things happening in the windows. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just wasn't along for the ride for some reason, but that's just, again, I fault myself.
That's good. It's good to point blame at yourself. That doesn't lead down to a negative path in the future.
I'm the problem.
Not in no way.
Right. It's all you.
That's right.
Did you like the neighbors where the husband was getting tired of fucking the wife? The newlyweds.
I mean, it's like
yeah, that shit's funny.
He's like trying to get
and Jimmy Stewart reacts.
Yeah,
Jimmy Stewart reacts like, okay.
They're starting to have troubles because he wants to quit his job, and she's like, "Oh, I wasn't going to get married to you if I knew you were going to quit your job." And you just tell their things aren't going to go well.
I mean, it's just normal people stuff. It's funny. Yeah.
All those scenes. So hopping into trivia now, there were parallels of what was going on in those scenes with Jimmy Stewart's life. It's like when they were arguing about their marriage in that scene, they were talking about, long-term relationships and being together. So it's kind of like Jimmy is basing all of his perceptions of different stages of relationships on the people he's seeing. So you have like the newlyweds. On the left-hand side, you have the very long weds that ends up being the murder case. You have the never got
widow,
married.
supposedly.
Or never got married. Like he's like, well, if I decide to be by myself, I will be lonely like this person down here. Yeah. And then if you see,
I didn't even catch any of that.
There's a shot towards, it's like the second long pan shot in the beginning, or maybe towards the middle. It's one of the long, there's 7 of those like completely counterclockwise pans around the courtyard in the entire movie. One of them pans up really quick to a third, on the right-hand side, 3rd floor apartment with a whole family playing. There's a little kid playing with a doll and 2 parents, and the camera goes up really quick and then quickly moves past.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And that's supposed to be him like not even considering having a happy family. So he's focusing on like the negative parts.
I'm not going to even look at that.
Yeah.
That's not going to be in the movie again.
Right.
The sort of...
The little girl is in the movie. They have the apartment in the top right, but he never focuses on it, right? They never even have it like close to the center of the frame.
Because he doesn't want to contemplate that. Or
right.
That's just not what he wants to think about.
And it could be just because, he's attracted to the drama. And it's weird too, because there was that one scene towards the end that I did pick up on, that they were more worried about this potential murder that already happened versus the depressed person downstairs who's going to kill herself, right? It's like focus on that. That's way more immediate, right? But they're like, it's like the TV, I don't know, TV age of people or whatever. This is like not even in the TV age of people. Modern people, uncaring people, only worried about like what they're interested in and not so much about actually helping other people. They're more invested in the mystery of all of it than actually saving people's lives, sort of thing.
Right.
So,
which is true.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Still, yep.
There were scenes where like the lady downstairs would almost be wearing the exact same outfit as Grace Kelly. And I didn't notice any of that stuff because I'm colorblind and I don't really care about fashion. But like, if you look for that sort of thing, like the costumes of people across the way will match their costumes to kind of show like during this scene, they're supposed to like, reflect their relationship in a certain way, sort of thing. Hitchcock and the costume designer worked for a very long time, 1.5 years before they even started filming this movie together. And Hitchcock would like spill his designs to her. She was the actual designer. He would have the ideas, and she made his ideas like come to life, basically. And so all the costumes were a part of his ideas. So that's pretty unique for a director too. I can only think of like Wes Anderson also probably having a say in costumes and colors. So the 21 Club, you guys ever heard of that movie? I mean, restaurant. No. I'm tired. It was a restaurant. 21 Club is where they get the lobsters.
Oh, no. Okay, no.
The delivery lobsters. You look it up, opened in 1929. It was one of the fanciest restaurants in New York City. It was in Manhattan. Closed in 2020, halfway through the first year of the pandemic.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yep. Gone. Club 21.
And now they're about to call COVID good done for good. And it's that'll never be revitalized, huh?
Yeah, probably not. I read an article like it's still closed. People are like wondering if it's going to come back, but I don't know. Probably not. Who the hell knows?
Damn. That's a bummer.
Yep.
Hopefully it comes back.
Hopefully. That lobster looked pretty good, even though it was left over. So there was a commentary track on this, and guess what? It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a boring historian.
Nice.
I was really, really happy about that because even his book sounds boring. It's called, this guy's called John Cowell. The book is called Rear Window, God damn it. Rear Window, The Well-Made Film.
All right.
That's
wow.
good.
Hey, that's a real deep thinker right there.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's going to be the worst. But he wasn't. He wasn't bad at all.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. My
That's
bar was
great.
pretty low, though, because I was expecting like a cowie type,
I know. Yeah.
It's hard to keep your hopes up for these sorts of things.
Well, that's good.
There's a lot of parallels so when Jimmy Stewart was on the phone with his boss and it kept cutting to neighbors, what he was talking about was like paralleled with every single thing that went on with the neighbors, almost to like a literal degree. At some point, the guy on the phone was talking about all you do is sit in there and look around all day, and then like while he's saying that, the piano player is getting up from his piano seat and looking out the window.
Right, looking around.
Yeah. So like there's just a lot of very literal things going on during that scene.
That like you don't quite notice unless you're really paying attention.
Right. Unless you like break it down second to second and realize that Hitchcock probably did break this movie down into seconds in like shots and dialogue.
Intended to exactly do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Keeps your
It doesn't
eyes
come
here.
across though because the movie like moves so slowly or smoothly.
Or quickly.
Quickly.
God, you
Opposite.
can't.
I'll be fine. I have the editing part.
Yeah, you're good.
You'll be
You're
okay.
good.
Plus, I think the soundtrack helps, like the constant noise that's consistent, right? Like that helps kind of meld everything together a little bit. Did you notice that when she comes in for the profile kiss, you see her like face, like a point of view perspective of Jimmy Stewart, and her face is coming in, and then it cuts to a double profile, and her face is coming in, and it seems to jitter step or whatever you want to call it.
Like,
Did you notice that?
It happened.
Stutter?
It was weird. It happened so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It happened.
was intentional.
Yeah.
Sometimes I couldn't tell if that was like
To
my
what? Make it weird?
buffering or if it was the movie.
It
you
was,
know?
they used a thing called the step print process, and they used an actual camera because they wanted to, so they took they're just photos and like take a picture, move your face a little bit forward, take a picture as opposed to a movie camera because they wanted the quality of that shot to be like the best in the movie. They used like
I see.
the highest, there's like film cameras, I think still are
But that's
better
weird
than movie
because it
cameras.
makes the approach seem odd. The motion then seems odd.
It does.
Even though I guess the picture's clear, but the motion's odd. And so that sort of like ruins it.
Yeah, but he was trying to go for a dreamlike
Okay.
kind of feeling there anyway, because like he's asleep and she kind of comes out and is all backlit and we don't know who she is, right?
No,
she
and
kind of
she suddenly
introduces
is like
herself
up in his face.
as if he doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Right.
she's playing around, but we don't know, So it's
Yeah.
like, who the fuck is this lady coming in for a kiss? This is weird. Is
Yeah,
he dreaming this?
I know. It was. I thought he was dreaming it.
Yep, so did I.
Yeah.
That kind of worked, I guess. All of the times that Hitchcock zooms in on stuff, it's just very large. So like there's shots of like him zooming in on clocks and the thermometer and stuff like that. It's not just a camera put close to a regular size one. They built giant ones so you could actually
really?
catch it on camera.
Oh, interesting.
And I remember he did that for which one is the one where the person gets murdered on a boat at a fair? And there's like a scene of like someone's glasses fall off and you see the reflection of the murderer
grate,
in
and
the
they
glasses.
can't reach in the grate.
Yeah. And there's
there
tennis.
was-
And there's tennis.
Yes.
And there's a guy
There's
called
tennis.
Buddy or something like that.
Yes.
Train.
I don't
Strangers
know.
in a train.
There you go.
Strangers on a train.
So that one, there's a shot of the guy murdering and there's glasses and you see the reflection of what's happening in the glasses.
Yeah.
And the
You
glasses
have
were
giant
huge.
glasses.
And there was also one of a different one with like a giant phone. Like he just does that with putting big items on the set to make it just look clear.
I wonder if those are in a pawn shop somewhere.
It's a good idea. I
It
like
is.
that. Yeah.
I think Alien did that too, right? Or Aliens did that where they had like the foreground set dressings were tiny, but like the scale would make it look bigger.
Enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good trick. So he said in this commentary that or let me just ask you this. Who did you think the woman was that went with the guy across the way? The guy who murdered his wife, who was the woman that went with him? That question makes sense?
Right. The he was having an affair with somebody supposedly, right?
TC,
Or
did you
no?
get that?
I am not sure.
How did you get that, John?
Book.
Oh, the book. Okay. Because that's true, but like I didn't get that in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Did you remember getting that from the movie or
Not
probably?
really, no, I don't think I would have gotten the movie. I was looking for that. I was assuming. I think they sort of
Hitchcock started out in silent films. So he kind of took to all these little mini scenes going on in all the windows as little individual silent films.
Oh,
That's why
nice.
they kind of worked so well. And a lot of the scenes, even with when you're in the room, played out as silent films with just like shots of things happening in the background and his reaction. You could probably mute this movie and have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Most scenes.
It's true because we're looking in and watching things that we can't hear anyway.
You can
so.
hear like mumbling, but you really can't hear like anything definitive.
Right. Now, some of the context does need to be there, obviously, but you're right. For the most part, you could get a good, close idea of like at least who the characters are and which ones you're following.
Yeah, I think the couple of the introduction scenes might still need to happen, but like even Jimmy Stewart watching out the window, the rainy night,
watching
it's
the
just
same
like
guy
5
every
minutes.
day. You know? Yeah,
no dialogue.
you can figure that one out.
I might remove this, but apparently Hitchcock thought handbags were vaginas.
Huh?
You heard me right. It's
Huh?
where
Just like the guy.
women keep their possessions in their secrets, and it's where men want to get into.
Okay.
Says the commentator. The commentator said that's what Hitchcock thought. So that was one kind of metaphor. I might
That's
have to
pretty
keep this
racy
in.
for the commentator. Good job, him. But
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's
know.
what Hitchcock's theory. And also, food in Hitchcock's movies are also for sex. There was a lot of like, they would censor out sex stuff in movies, but like in Hitchcock movies, there are multiple times where if they're talking about food, they're actually talking about sex.
Speaking of food, I saw something I don't think I've ever seen before in a movie or even in real life regarding food. And it's that Stewart was eating bacon with a fork. He had a piece of bacon stuck on a fork. He even seemed to think better of it and didn't eat it from that perspective.
Like he ruined it?
No, I don't know, but you didn't see him eat it. In one scene, he's got bacon on a fork. And I'm like, there's bacon on a fork.
saw that.
I don't think I've ever seen bacon on a fork.
Oh, no, that's the scene where he like, something gross happens, right? And he's like, he becomes not hungry.
I know. I don't know. He's talking with the nurse.
She says something because
but
it was
then
like,
in the next scene, then he's eating toast. So he doesn't become not hungry. He's eating toast in the next scene. The bacon
it must have splattered or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He just thought better of the fork and the bacon. I'm just saying. I didn't know. Maybe back then people ate bacon with a fork, but it just.
I would eat bacon with a fork. You want to get that grease all over you?
I guess so.
If a bacon is able to be picked up with a piece of fork, I don't want any part of it. I want the kind of bacon that if you tried to stick a fork in it, it would crumble to into 1,000 pieces all over the plate.
That's right. I want the crispy
I like
bacon.
a little, not,
You like floppy
I like
bacon?
Well, floppy bacon, actually. It's like Kevin Bacon, but you know.
I like it when bacon is in my hamburger. I bite into it once and I pull every single thing out in one bite. Just drags it with the bacon.
No.
That's what you like, TC. That's what you just said.
Nope.
That's right. That's why
what
you
I
have
heard.
it crispy. Otherwise, it takes everybody with it.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I was startled. I was startled by bacon on a fork.
I don't do that often, but I would if it was full of grease and I couldn't get to it.
I guess so. If you're not willing to pick that up, but then I would want to eat it.
Like if you got something nice on and you know if you pick that shit up, it's gonna get all over your thing. I got a fork, you know. I don't feel bad about that.
It's all right. I just okay. So it's been done. I just didn't know it was a thing.
I just had to bring up the one time, the one use case, at least one.
Fair.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Much appreciated.
Yeah, that got me up off. That woke me up a little.
Yeah. You take that back about fork people, man.
When that the army vet comes back to Miss Torso and he talks about like, are you hungry? And he's like, oh yeah, the army's got me hungry as ever. What's in the fridge? And they go into the fridge together. That's supposed to be,
when he comes home.
Yeah, he's supposed to be horny, and she's supposed to be horny for him. That's the whole.
I see. What's in the fridge?
Yeah,
let's look in there. Yeah, that's funny.
So any Hitchcock movie, that's the intent
the thing.
there. Yeah.
That's funny. I had no
Was
clue.
it racy at the time? Even in that they.
I was surprised this is PG. They show Miss Torso's ass quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah. Or that she's staying overnight at his apartment, all of that. I didn't know if that was like controversial even at the time, or
I don't think that was.
That wasn't a big deal. But yeah, certainly there's a lot of like her in her underwear doing ballet things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there sure was.
Can't disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had 1,000 arc lights, large arc lights, and 2,000 other smaller lights on the set of this movie.
Jeez.
That's a shit ton. This was built in
That's a lot of lights.
This is all within a studio. This is built on a set. They had to remove the floor and build down into the basement to get like the height they needed.
Oh, wow.
It ended up being, it was 98 feet wide by 185 feet long by 40 feet high. Jimmy Stewart's the floor in his apartment was ground level and everything below it was below ground.
Oh, nice.
And
Wow.
everything, like all the lighting, it wasn't outside.
Wow.
It was just lights.
Wow.
And the people at the top floors had a hard time because it was fucking hot. Really,
Oh,
really
wow.
I
hot.
bet.
No
on the
wonder.
top
So
floor.
no wonder they're
Oh,
sleeping out. They
wow.
didn't have to fake the heat there. I
Nope.
mean,
Sweat was probably
Wow.
real whenever they
yeah,
showed it.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
They had 4 different settings for 4 different times a day. It took the lights 45 minutes to change from day to night because these lights are
Whoa.
old and they take a long time to change intensity, I
Wow.
guess.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. All right, everyone break for lunch. We'll have a nighttime
Yeah.
shoot after everyone gets to 45.
I
Here we
know,
go.
right? Yeah. Yeah. We'll see you in an hour.
Yeah. Take a shower. Get all the sweat off. We'll do all the cooler
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
later, all
Take a
right?
break.
We'll try to fan out
Take
the
a
studio next 45 minutes. We'll open the doors and
Wow.
turn the fans on.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
How
though.
many
It's
days of
a lot
shooting
of
was this, do you know?
logistics.
1 month.
1 month.
And this was the
That's
same
it, huh?
year he made Dial M for Murder, also with Grace Kelly.
Oh wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
cruising.
And then the year after that, he did 3 Grace Kellys, 2 in 54, 1 in 55.
Wow.
And then she basically retired pretty close to after that.
And, yeah, went and got a prince.
So the set had
Lucky.
31 apartments total. 8 of those apartments were fully furnished. Every single apartment had working plumbing and electricity.
Wow.
Or sorry, everyone in the Thorwalds
Plumbing?
building had plumbing and electricity. Yeah, why plumbing? Good question, right?
Mm.
I don't know.
I guess
No idea.
I don't know if you. Do you
Yeah,
what do
did
you need
they-
that for?
Don't know.
Mm.
It took 50 men 2 months to build the set. Cost about $100,000 to do it. And that was about 1/10 of the $1 million budget of this movie. They had a whole drainage system set up on the ground floor, the basement level, because the rain they shot was all, rigged rain and it was raining onto a set. So they had to,
Ooh.
plan for
Oh,
that.
There's your
Well, how do they
plumbing.
do that with all those lights and all that
There's your-
electricity?
there's your
and-
plumbing
if you
right
think
there.
that you
Yeah.
have quite the hazard there.
Well, you put the lights above the plumbing, John.
Right, but I'm talking about the rain and so a ton
Put
of
the-
water
yeah, that's what
going
he
all
meant.
over the place,
Ab-
don't you?
above the-
But there's no
water.
lights outside. So the lights for the sun are above the water
They're
and
above
then
the
everything
rain.
else is inside.
I see. I guess. But
Right.
then you have all these,
Right.
I don't know, just you think you could have like an electrical fire with all this like sort of
Oh,
wired
yeah.
up electricity
Oh, yeah.
and all these
No,
apartments
you're not wrong,
dumping
John.
water on it.
Yeah, they had
It could
a
happen.
and so I don't know what the fire code was back then, but you used to have to put sprinklers above the lights. You might have
Mm.
exceptions for studios and stuff, but one of the days the fire alarm went off and sprayed everything with fire
Oh, shit.
sprinkler water, which was more, I guess, because they had to
Flame
do a
retardant.
lot of cleanup after that one happened. It wasn't like
Oof.
prepared for that. So
Oh, because they had everything. There was other things.
it was
set up,
everywhere,
I'm
I guess,
sure.
not just
Yeah,
like
Right.
wow.
Not
in
targeted.
the outside area.
Not-
Right,
Yeah,
right. Because they might have had
fuck.
like open backsides to the studio
Yeah,
and
the
stuff
tops
like
of
that.
the apartment buildings are probably open, I would
right,
imagine.
right. So yeah.
Damn,
Whoops.
that's kind of bogus, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they used to do for negative, so there was actually, I don't know which one to go first. I'll start with this one. To make prints of the original negative, you kind of have to put this tape on it called lacquering, and you re-lacquer after a certain period of time. So they put the lacquer on top of the negative to keep it strong and to not deteriorate. But when you peel lacquer off, when that deteriorates and re-lacquer it, you're peeling off the yellow layer of color from the negative.
Yeah.
So these negatives were so poorly taken care of for so long that most of the yellow was peeled off from the lacquering and re-lacquering. So up until this point, in 1984, one of the last things Jimmy Stewart did in his life as an actor was do this foundation for restoring 5 Hitchcock movies that were previously lost for 30 years. This was one of them.
Oh,
Vertigo was
wow.
another one. Hitchcock apparently, when he was dying and coming close to death, he like grabbed these 5 movies and he's like, nobody can have these. I'm giving them to my daughter. So like he gave them to his daughter. Nobody else could see him for like 30 years
Whoa.
until he died. And there was legal stuff. And then Jimmy Stewart kind of helped promote and fund, I would imagine, restoring these movies. Because you imagine like Hitchcock, one of the biggest directors ever, if you lived between 84 and I guess it would be 54, like right around when it came out, you couldn't see it again. Like if you saw it in the theaters, you just couldn't have seen it anywhere.
Wow.
But they came up with a way to like digitally, I don't know if it was digital. They re-put the yellow stuff in. So that was really
Oh,
hard.
that's nicely put.
Yeah,
They
you
re-put
put the yellow stuff in there.
That's right.
Hey, they re-put the yellow stuff in. We're good. Don't worry. Nothing to see here.
They showed comparisons of what it was before and after, and I'll tell you, you really want the yellow stuff in there because otherwise, it doesn't look
It's
so
a pretty
good.
important color.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Humans, like white people, have a lot of yellow in their skin. It seemed like and a lot of other stuff. White light bulbs and things like that. Lots of yellow in there. Just looked very odd without it. Because you don't think you see yellow too frequently, right? I say that as I'm looking at TC's very yellow light.
Yellow. I'm like, I see two lights that are
yellow.
That are absolutely yellow behind me.
You're right. You're right.
True.
But in general.
In general.
Yeah. How often you see yellow anyway, besides the wall?
Oh, exactly.
and
Everything
the two
right
lights?
now.
Yeah.
The entire room is bathed in yellow.
Right. Yeah, right. Oh, you're colorblind. What am I talking about?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I can see yellow. I can see that one. It's fine. All the audio they shot from the other apartments, they shot at equal distances to the microphones to get the space right. So, like, they figured that Jimmy Stewart's apartment was about maybe 20 feet from the piano player's apartment and behind glass. So they, amplified piano music behind glass 20 feet away and recorded it from there. And they did that for all the sounds across the courtyard so that it matched the space.
Yep.
Very
like
simple, but probably takes some effort and always sounds way better than everything just up
Didn't
front.
we used to do that shit?
We did. And why weren't we
We
famous?
used that
Come on, we
trick.
used the trick. Why aren't we famous?
We used
Come
that
on.
trick. I love that trick. It's
Yeah.
the best trick.
Record it,
Re-record
put it on the speaker down the hall and record it from the other side of the hall.
again, and then mix it in.
Yeah.
And it sounds real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it is. Can't beat reality.
Oh, right.
Hitchcock's favorite lens was a 50 millimeter lens. If you look that up, 50 millimeter lens is widely considered the most realistic lens in terms of what your eye sees. And he used it for that reason. All of his movies, or like most of his movies, he wanted to do like a human perspective. So he basically exclusively used that lens. And he did exclusively use it for this movie. The window shades are supposed to be movie curtains, guys. Did you get that? When they're lifting up at the beginning, this movie's starting, curtains going up, and at the end it kind of drops down.
I know. It was kind of fun because they have the Paramount behind the logo and it comes up. Yeah, that was cute.
It's nice. A little cheesy, but it's still pretty nice.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah.
So 2 more pieces of trivia here, John.
Okay.
Not even a long one there for you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hitchcock, to be immersive in his direction, shot everything like he was in that apartment the entire time. So his direction he gave to other people, they had radio earpieces in. So he would he would never wear the earpieces. He would be like, put their earpiece in. Over there. Miss Torso, put her earpiece in. She would put it in. He would give her directions. She would give him a thumbs up. That's what she would do.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what they did throughout the shoot. And the way Hitchcock directed a lot of the scenes is like for the shot where it's raining and there's a mattress outside. What he did is he got one of the actors to put an earpiece in. He said, all right, you pull that into the window behind you. And then he was like, all right, now you take it out and you put the earpiece in. Told the other person to pull it into her window. So then when they actually showed that shot, it was them being confused about which way to pull the mattress. And that shot was like improv. Him diving head first, improv. So
nice.
Hitchcock would do that frequently with like small little tricks to get people to like,
do something
natural.
Like actually
kind
be in
of.
conflict.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, not necessarily like hating each other or anything, but being confused.
Like an authentic reaction.
Yeah.
And it
just
worked perfectly.
be happy that they didn't just like drop the thing and be like, that's not the direction. You're fucking up the scene. It's like, no, you're fucking up the scene.
That's right.
Right.
The scene at the end where he's flashing the bad guys, he's coming towards them with the flash bulbs.
Yep.
They wanted to get that accurate. So what they did was they crowdsourced putting like a bunch of the crew in a room and flashing them in a dark room and just like asking them to describe what they saw. And most people were like, we saw red or orange in a circle fading in to out. So like they kind of
I was
they
wondering where that
crowdsourced the
came from.
effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
How many times did he flash the bulb? Was that like 6
4?
times? 4
I don't know.
times?
Does that work even?
It's
I was
yeah.
kind of curious there. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny because
he'd just cover his eyes.
no,
The
but
other
he
guy
couldn't
could
tell.
cover
It was
his
dark
eyes,
in
too.
there. That's
I
what I
know,
thought
but-
too. But it was like he couldn't tell. He wanted to approach him. You can't walk through a dark
Right.
room with your eyes closed.
I
But
guess
like
not,
you
right.
can't tell when he's going to flash it. I think it worked pretty good.
Yeah.
as if he wouldn't have just jumped on him. Come on.
Just run. It's like he's right there. I'm just going to barrel towards him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
He could have a knife
right
though.
there.
He could have a knife.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I know he's right there.
What if he has a knife and he just stabs him when he lays down on top of him?
Going for it. Fuck him. You know?
After the second flash, yeah, I'd change strategy, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I still thought it was good, though.
4 times, shame on me, sort of thing.
All right. So would you put this in the top 250, John?
I probably wouldn't, but that's my mood.
Yeah. Thank you for being honest. I
not feeling
appreciate
like
that.
it. Yeah.
I might.
You might.
For an old film.
I might because it's an old film. The set was really cool. Lots of production went into it. I like it.
So is that a yes? You said might. Give us a yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder, I have to go back. How many old ones have TC? This could be the only one.
Yeah.
Very well could be.
You might like to, if you liking this film, you might like, so I did read the short story that it's based on, Cornell Woolrich, and it's very simple. It really only has the three, it only has like the main character, he's got a helper. There's no nurse here. And then the detective and the bad guy, basically, the killer. And it's very simple, but it's well written and it holds up nicely. But
did you like it more than the movie? Was that the problem?
No. It's just, again, the story certainly captures the same idea that he's stuck there. He's like watching other people, and he has this great way of like, the writing's pretty good. Like he's describing just how he sees these people and their routines. Like here's like a good quote from the book. He says, "The chain of little habits that were their lives unreeled themselves. They were all bound in them tighter than the tightest straitjacket any jailer ever devised, though they all thought themselves free." Just some good descriptions about how he just observed these people and their routines, and they seem predictable to him.
Says the guy who can't move in his apartment.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Right.
actually not
he's
free.
not necessarily
they can at least
judging
go
them.
outside.
Yeah, he's not happy.
It sounded
either,
like he was
but yeah.
judging him there.
It was a good read. It's a very quick read. It's a very short story. And you can find the PDF online. So
next week, guys, we're finally getting to a movie we've been looking at for a long time.
what are we doing?
My All Quiet on the Western Front 4K Blu-ray arrived, guys.
All right,
Isn't that
we can watch
exciting?
that.
It's exciting for me.
Yay.
Yeah. TC's already seen it,
Good
but we
stuff.
gave you a bit more of a gap there, TC, so maybe you'll enjoy it more because there's a little bit of a distance, I guess. Usually helps.
All right,
Mhm.
cool.
Does.
Talk to you guys next week.
Cool.
All right, next week, guys.
All right.
I'm on the